In this video, I'm going to flip through and show you one of my sketchbooks. This one is about an 8.5 by 11 size sketchbook. I decorated the cover. It didn't come like that. And it is pretty much almost all used up. I have a few blank pages here in the back. And a lot of the pages have been taken out because this started a really long time ago, but how I started selling my paintings when I was in my 20s, people would see my sketchbooks and wanted to buy pages out of my sketchbooks. And I wasn't going to say no. Actually, I started making color photocopies of the sketchbook pages and selling those. And then I started taking out the pages and selling them as small paintings. So I don't do that, of course, with all of my sketchbooks. I use my visual journaling process and sketchbooks for all different types of projects. But this sketchbook in particular is one I'm using for my painting practice. So I'm okay with taking out pages and making artwork for sale out of it if people want it. And when I do take out my pages, they look sort of like this. I wrapped them for people in individual plastic sheets. And then I have these portfolios that I keep the finished work in. And this particular portfolio is full of a bunch of goddess or saint paintings I've done. These all start out in my sketchbooks and then they get taken out. So the paper sometimes is a little bit wrinkly from being just sketchbook paper. Sometimes I'll mount these on canvas or wood, but once they're framed behind glass, they straighten out quite a bit. So that is what happens to these. Hey, I'm Lisa Sonora, founder of Visual Journal Studio, and I teach visual journaling as a creative outlet that supports your well-being and helps you make meaningful art. So let me just give you a quick tour of how I use my painting practice sketchbook. I usually start with writing every day, and I'll write down ideas or dreams or things I'm thankful for. Anything goes. I just dump everything out of my head, and then I paint over what I've written. Unless it's something important I want to keep, which I'll share that with you in a second, but mostly I just paint over my journal entries. So this isn't going to look like anything yet, but I just have backgrounds ready for what is going to happen next. These scrapes are from when I'm cleaning off my brushes or the scraping tools I use in a lot of my work. Here I've got painted backgrounds behind, but I wanted to tape around and make a small, like 5x5 size painting. So this is something I want to read to you actually. But this is what happens. This is where I start. Once I have those backgrounds, I do sketches for painting. So there's a lot of sketches in here that don't see the light of day. I love painting landscapes, so that's what I'm experimenting a lot with. When I'm using a lot of landscape colors, I like to paint them on top of red because it makes the colors really pop out. So that's why these pages are painted red. In painting, they would call this toning your canvas. So I've got all kinds of notes, experiments. And what I love about painting in a sketchbook is these are notes that I haven't covered up yet, because what I'll do is if I want to keep the note, I will either take a photo of it or transcribe it before I paint over it. After I've written, if I've transcribed it or it's okay to paint over, I often will just put marks over it so I know it's okay to paint over. So that's what I've done here. notes that I haven't transcribed yet. So this is part of my painting practices, keeping notes, painting them over, and then I've got lots of ideas and notes here for sketches, color palettes, backgrounds. So I always have something I can come to that's ready to go. So I have backgrounds ready to go. I have blank pages ready to write in. My painting sketchbook is always in different spots. And you can see I don't work linearly. I don't work one page, finish it, and turn the page, which if you like to work linear in your sketchbook, that is a matter of personal preference. I just don't happen to work that way. Sometimes I really wish I did work that way because I really admire finishing something, turning the page, but I'm just kind of all over the place at once in my sketchbooks. And I think that's kind of how my art process is. You'll see random things like, oh, I wrote down all the months in Portuguese because I want to start learning Portuguese. Poems that I think of when I'm painting, notes. And then experimenting with paintings and collages. So this book happens to have a lot of just backgrounds because I've used most of the pages. But why keep a sketchbook? One of the questions I've been asked pretty much my whole life as an artist is, why do you keep visual journals? You know, how is it different than a sketchbook? I think it's a matter of how you look at your art process. So I think keeping a visual journal is really vital to my process. And what makes this a journal more than just a sketchbook is the fact that I write in it, and my writing is really private. If there is something that I extract out of this later, it's almost like a happy accident out of my process. But I'm not working in here trying to make paintings. If some happen, then I'll tear them out and hang them up or put them for sale. The writing is something I don't usually share with people, but there is an entry in here that I did share with a friend, and she takes my visual journaling classes. And so she's the one who asked me to share this. She said, I think other people might want to hear this. I don't know. You can let me know in the comments if this resonates. But here it goes. I'm going to just share this journal entry with you. The positive aspects of waking up on the page. This is how I learned about my creative practice, that I could show up in a big blank artist sketchbook and get to work. No ideas necessary, no plan, no direction, not even creative inspiration. Inspiration follows action. All I need to do is show up and face the blank page. It's my creative habit. I can be sleepy, unfocused, unsure of everything. I can be intrigued by the potential a new day offers. I can be tired, distracted, and feel lazy. None of the circumstances matter either. Whatever's happening at home, whatever I am, I can't even read my writing. Whatever's happening at home, wherever I am in the world, whatever unknown environments I find myself in, I can open up my sketchbook and meet myself in the now. My creative practice is a place that exists beyond thinking, beyond planning, or much conscious awareness at all. It takes me directly into my imaginative realms. Just past the place of the known, the unknown beckons, and I follow with my pen, with paint, with collage ephemera, photographs, and my collection of art supplies. How I create is so easy and flowing. It's an act of love, devotion. It's how I can approach everything in life. The business aspects can flow with ease. And then I continue talking about how I can attract my ideal audience simply by being me and sharing my work. So this was a lot of the inspiration also behind my YouTube channel, which um, I find still absolutely terrifying to do, but so compelling. Just the idea that I could show up and share my work and attract people who resonate with this type of work. That is my dream. And it's actually how I started my blog 20 years ago. I did the same thing with writing and taking photos of my visual journals, which was also terrifying and still scary. Maybe it's because I'm an introvert. I don't know. I just find it challenging to share. Also, the fact that these are really my personal creative practice. These are my diaries, if you will. They just happen to be very visual. But I share my creative process because as a teacher, teaching this process to others, when I'm teaching classes, I'm really focused on what the students are doing in their sketchbooks. And the motivation behind blogging and sharing my own sketchbooks and my own art process was that in my classes that I was teaching in person at the time 20 years ago, before I started teaching online, I didn't really share my journals in class. I wanted the class time to be about what the students were doing in their sketchbooks. So I would take photos of my visual journals and write about my process and the materials and share that on my blog. And that's how I started 20 years ago, just as a way to share my experience with my students. And so now I'm taking it to another medium, which is video, and we will see how it goes, what happens. If you guys like stuff like this, it really helps if you give it a thumbs up or thumbs down if you don't like it. It helps YouTube know that people are interested in this. And if you leave comments, YouTube loves the engagement, and so do I. I love hearing from you. That is a tour of this particular sketchbook, and I have many more to show you. If you like seeing sketchbooks, let me know in the comments. If you want other content that you can think of that you're hoping I'll share. This whole video idea came from people asking, from my friend Jennifer, who asked me to share that piece of writing. And she said, also, I want to see more of your visual journals, please. So let me know what resonates with you in the comments, and you can also ask me questions there as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I will leave some links at the end of the video for related content for you. Thank you.